In a big city, there's this interior designer, almost 40, still single. He changed his name to Yu, saying it was to create perfect symmetry. But the real reason is his mom wanted him to live a long life. So she gave him the old-fashioned name to Dao when he was born. He always thinks a good life needs attention to every little detail. On weekends, Yu usually goes to the movies alone. He met a girl named Yi Jia, who was sitting in his seat by mistake. She apologized for getting the row wrong and quickly went back to her own seat. Yu surprised her by offering to switch seats with Yi Jia. It's because he always sits in that exact seat every time he comes to the theater. But today he was a little late, so she got there first. Yu even knelt down in front of Yi Jia, explaining that her seat was the sweet spot for sound in the whole theater. Yi Jia wondered why he didn't just sit there in the first place. Yu said the point of buying a ticket is for someone to sit in their assigned seat. Yi Jia laughed and invited him to follow the rules. Just then, his student, Shiaan, called to report a problem at the construction site. Turns out, the painter, Lao Sun, wasn't following the design plans. Yu remembered clearly specifying a deep red paint. Lao Sun said the homeowner wanted to change it to blue. When Yu met the homeowner, he said, "No way. You can't change it to blue. Deep red shows elegance. Changing it to blue will mess up the whole effect. Plus, the color scheme of the room will be all wrong, making people irritable over time." The homeowner got angry, insisting he only liked blue and that anyone who disagreed would be fired. At a design conference, Yu's manager, Lin Shuang, wouldn't stop promoting how amazing Yu was. But Yu didn't like it because the conference was all about hyping up young designers. Lin Shuang just wanted Yu to be a little more outgoing with everyone. Just then, Shiaan arrived to report that he had finished preparing the presentation for his teacher. Yu asked his student if he wanted to try being the teacher for once. At the start of the conference, everyone was waiting for the veteran designer to speak. But Shiaan carried a picture of Yu onto the stage and talked about his design philosophy instead. Yu always thought that a home not only holds love, but also hides everyone's flaws. Home is also the only place that can light a fire when a family gathers for dinner. Only then does a home truly have flavor. That is Yu's design focus, which he often describes as the smoke and fire of everyday life. Over dinner, Yu heard about Tianjin mixed noodles. He questioned whether the noodles were authentic, handmade with lots of toppings. A girl came over to chat, praising Yu for knowing so much about noodles. He mentioned he used to study in Tianjin, adding that what you eat doesn't matter, but you can't be careless about it. The girl realized he was the designer. Yu. She thought that eating authentic Tianjin mixed noodles in his cozy home would be incredibly blissful. Of course, a straight guy wouldn't get the hint to invite her home, and instead, he rushed into the kitchen to show off his skills. As a result, after he finished cooking, she started talking to another designer. At the video store, Yu complained to his best friend, Qing. He said he wanted all that trouble in the kitchen so she'd know how to properly prepare Tianjin mixed noodles. Qing was amused, saying he hadn't even said 5 sentences before making the girl dislike him. Just then, a customer named Andy came in to rent a movie, and Qing immediately introduced her to his friend. Yu wanted to prove Qing wrong, took the initiative to talk to Andy. He asked if she preferred mixed noodles or curry rice. When he heard Andy choose curry rice, Yu immediately asked what she thought of him. She laughed and walked away. Qing concluded that Yu had only managed 5 sentences and had already affected his business. Yu didn't count this round because he hadn't had time to prepare. On his way home, he stopped by a convenience store and won the longest draw in a lottery game. Remembering his friend's sarcasm, he decided to experiment with the store clerk. He asked how much the gum was and if it could blow bubbles. Seeing the clerk was annoyed, he asked if she disliked him. Sure enough, before he could reach 5 sentences, the clerk didn't want to talk to him anymore. On his way home, Yu picked up a stuffed bunny. He planned to return it to the person who dropped it, Shiaan. She was breaking up with her boyfriend over the phone. Shiaan, upset, stormed off and moved into her uncle's empty apartment. In the elevator, Yu called out Shiaan because the stuffed bunny was playing a loop of "I'll always love Shiaan." She asked to get off first, but he still followed closely behind. Turns out Yu lived in the apartment right next door. He asked when she was planning on moving out because the dividing wall wasn't soundproof. Back home, Yu started preparing dinner. He sliced the meat perfectly evenly and arranged it neatly in rows. But then, the noise from next door ruined his perfect creation. Yu had to rearrange each piece of meat, but the noise next door was still very loud. He turned on classical music to continue his dinner. Meanwhile, Shiaan kept banging on the wall, but it didn't affect Yu's appetite. She came over and knocked on the door, only to find him writhing in pain on the floor. The paramedics diagnosed Yu with a recurrence of hemorrhoids. He didn't need the doctor to explain further and asked to be taken to see Zhongjing Hospital. Finally, they arrived at the hospital. Yu asked Shiaan to request Dr. Zhong Liangchuan. Yi Jia said the deputy director had just left for an emergency consultation and urged the patient to take off his pants so she could examine his anus. Yu saw the female doctor, and 2 female interns were standing below, waiting to see his anus. He refused the examination and ran away. Yi Jia chased after him to see how far he could run. She offered to prescribe pain medication and wait until tomorrow morning to examine him again and develop a treatment plan. He realized she had already spoken 13 sentences. Could it be she didn't dislike him? Yi Jia insisted she didn't dislike any patients. Yu agreed that she was a good doctor. On a beautiful sunny day, Yu lay listening to the team of doctors discussing his hemorrhoids. The deputy director, Liang Chuan, asked Yi Jia to schedule a routine colonoscopy for the patient. It turned out that Liang Chuan was both Yu's best friend and his brother-in-law. Liang Chuan took the opportunity to return 5,000 yuan and borrowed another 10,000 yuan from his brother-in-law. Just then, Liang Chuan's wife and children came to visit him. Yu's mother brought red eggs for her son, hoping he might find love in the hospital. Yu heard his assistant call from the construction site and demanded to be discharged. Seeing Yu leaving, Yi Jia reminded him to get the colonoscopy. He wasn't getting any younger, and the hemorrhoids would definitely recur, getting worse over time. Yu asked Yi Jia if she said hello when answering the phone. If she only said hi or aloe, it proved she wasn't young either. At her blind date, Yi Jia met a man who loved children. He wanted to have a whole soccer team, with no preference for boys or girls. But he needed to discuss asset division beforehand. Reporting to her father, Yi Jia said she wasn't a match for the guy. She only needed someone she was comfortable with and enjoyed talking to. She reminded her father that she only had one blind date left this month. Just then, the owner of the restaurant brought over a bowl of scallion oil noodles for Yi Jia. Just smelling it was enough to warm her heart. Meeting with Xiaoman, Shen Wu delivered a thank you gift from his teacher to his neighbor. Xiaoman happily accepted it, only to find 2 movie tickets and a lollipop. But Shen Wu gave Xiaoman a large fruit basket separately. He asked to connect on WeChat so she could contact him if anything happened to his teacher. At the construction site, Yu told Lao Sun to relay the uneven wooden floor. Lao Sun didn't understand the fuss since the client wasn't complaining. Yu reiterated that everything had to meet standards. If Lao Sun refused to remove it, he would redo the entire floor himself. After a bit of a tug of war, Lao Sun fell to the ground. Yu was pleased, but suddenly his hemorrhoids flared up. Shen Wu rushed to help his teacher, unintentionally causing Yu even more pain. Once Yu felt better, Shen Wu criticized his teacher for being stingy. He said when Xiaoman saw the movie tickets and lollipop, the look on her face clearly showed disdain. Yu replied, "I won those movie tickets in a lottery, so I was just giving her some of my luck." Shen Wu praised his teacher for always turning stinginess into a reasonable excuse. At the hospital, Yu lent his brother-in-law 10,000 yuan. Liang Chuan was grateful and personally took Yu for the examination. He wished his wife was as generous as his brother. Yu asked his brother-in-law if he regretted getting married early. Liang Chuan knew his brother-in-law was envious because no one liked him. Yu corrected him, saying Dr. Gu didn't dislike him. Just then, she was pulled into a group blind date by her father. Yi Jia quickly hung up and coincidentally met Yu. Liang Chuan urged his brother-in-law to prove that Yi Jia didn't dislike him. Yu apologized, having overheard Yi Jia's blind date situation. He thought adults did this to satisfy their personal desires. However, blind dates really do help older people get married quickly. Yi Jia remembered Yu criticizing her for being old last time, and now he was saying she was single. She suddenly realized he was the one who wanted to switch seats in the movie theater. Yu had recognized Yi Jia since she entered the hospital. He praised her for going on blind dates with 6 people, like sales promotion. Yi Jia advised Yu to take care of himself first, saying she was sure he'd be back for treatment. After the fight with Yu, Lao Sun decided to strike. Lin Shuang coaxed the client, promising to send someone else to do the work. Arriving at Lao Sun's house, Yu was greeted with a birthday celebration because Lao Sun's wife and children thought he was back. Lao Sun came inside and asked if Yu had come to apologize. He pretended to be in so much pain that he couldn't stand. Yu praised Lao Sun for laying his floor perfectly straight. Lao Sun, touched that it was his 60th birthday, invited Yu to share the birthday cake. Yu thought it was childish and only left the malted milk that Lao Sun loved the most. He reminded Lao Sun that his home, or someone else's home, were still home. On the way back, Yu heard a call from his mother. She wished Yu a happy birthday and told him to remember to eat longevity noodles. Yu happened to pass a bakery and bought a cake to celebrate his birthday alone. He wondered why it was so difficult for people to wish him a happy birthday directly. Meanwhile, Shen Wu's girlfriend, Xiao, urged him to call and wish his teacher a happy birthday. Shen Wu did as he was told, but only reported that Lao Sun would be coming to the construction site. Yu hung up, continuing to enjoy his birthday. Just then, Xiaoman's friend, Qing, came over and asked Yu to climb over to her friend's apartment. Because Xiaoman was heartbroken and wouldn't answer the phone, Yu had to put on a safety harness to climb over to the neighbor's apartment. He saw Xiaoman lying on the ground and quickly called her to wake up. She was startled and asked why he was there. Yu went to open the door for Qing and then realized he had forgotten his keys. So he asked permission to climb back home. Finally, Yu managed to light all the candles on the birthday cake. He was about to make a wish when he heard noise from a neighbor's apartment. He quickly blew out the candles and went over to ring the bell. Taking Xiaoman to the hospital, Yu met Yijia again. She was embarrassed to talk to him and asked an intern to explain to the patient's friend. The intern reported that Xiaoman had alcohol poisoning. Dr. Gu had given the patient a stomach pump, but still had to monitor her all night. Yu decided to order a birthday cake to celebrate his birthday in the hospital. Finally, Yu completed his solo birthday party. He remembered Dr. Gu was on night duty, so he brought her a piece of cake. He also apologized for interfering in her blind date and said he shouldn't have compared Yijia to merchandise because she was still alive. Yijia was speechless, but couldn't bring herself to be angry at the sweet birthday cake. On the way back to the hospital room, Yu suddenly had a recurrence of hemorrhoids. Yijia read the medical records and discovered it was Yu's birthday today. She urged the nurse to prepare for an anal examination. Yu was startled and asked Yijia to call Zhong Liangchuan. She said that the deputy director had assigned her to examine Yu. He looked at the speculum and quickly begged her to use pain medication like last time. Yijia reminded Yu that prolonging the time would make the condition worse and worse. He teared up, but Yijia's unexpected birthday wishes comforted Yu to some extent. Hearing Xiaoman wake up, Yijia reported that the patient had alcohol poisoning. She recounted how Yu had brought Xiaoman to the hospital and then had a recurrence of his old condition. Yijia advised Xiaoman that even with heartbreak, she shouldn't harm her body. Taking Xiaoman to the roof, Yijia guided her on how to release her emotions effectively. She told Xiaoman to remember the fault lies on the cheating man. Xiaoman promised to be careful when finding a boyfriend next time. She knew Yijia lived nearby and invited the doctor to come over for dinner when she was free. Xiaoman promised to bother Dr. Gu frequently in the future. Waiting for Yijia in the hospital lobby, Yu unexpectedly gave her a banner with the words, "Although long-winded, her medical skills are still good. Yijia, you are the only one who wished me a happy birthday. Yu, thank you for the recognition from a grumpy old man like you." Yijia urged Yu to come with her to get the test results. She diagnosed him with a mass in his colon. Yu was startled and quickly thought of excuses. Yijia clarified that the mass was benign, but his blood fat was beyond normal levels, and his blood pressure and blood sugar were at dangerous levels. Abstaining from greasy food and eating more green vegetables would improve it significantly. Yu thought that a life without fat was very dull. Calling his brother-in-law, Liangchuan reported that he was holding Yu's health report. He asked Yu to come to his house for a healthy meal tonight. Yu thought that eating one meal would have no effect, so he had to go eat barbecue. The lean meat mixed with a little fat sizzled, the delicious flavor exploding in his mouth. Hearing this, Liangchuan also wanted to go with his brother-in-law. Back at the company, Yu invited everyone to eat barbecue. Shenwu lamented, "I don't have any money." Yu thought that he was never short of money because he always used cash. When the stack of money was getting smaller, he would be more vigilant. Electronic payments only make money disappear silently. Yu reported that his health was better and invited everyone to a barbecue. Xiao used extra work as an excuse, urging her boyfriend to eat with his teacher. Shenwu also declined, letting Lin Shuang eat the discounted couples combo with his teacher, but Lin Shuang claimed extra work and didn't want to eat with a cheapskate. In the end, Yu had to go to his sister Yujia's house. He complained that married life lacked freedom because he always saw her busy in the kitchen. Yujia lamented that they were born from the same mother. Why was her brother so annoying? Liangchuan wondered, "Aren't you going to eat barbecue?" Yu's mother kept urging her son to eat meat and get married. Yu subtly reminded her that the son-in-law was usually not happy when the mother-in-law came to the house. Liangchuan denied it. Little Zhong only feels weird when uncle is around. Yujia brought her brother a mix of vegetables good for his health. Yu suspected that the whole family was infected by Yijia. Liangchuan explained, Dr. Gu examined Yu. Ms. Yu wondered, is she married? Liangchuan advised his mother not to hope because Yijia had seen Yu's butt. Under the apartment lobby, Yu accidentally overheard people talking about him. Xiaoman said, "You're stingy, unwilling to give Shenwu a raise." But he's kind enough to buy her an extra basket of fruit. Xiaoman realized Yu was standing right behind her and quickly slipped into the elevator. She was nervous and thanked him for taking her to the hospital last time. The next day, Yu decided to eat barbecue alone. He looked around and saw couples everywhere, feeling incredibly foolish. He put on some old music and continued to enjoy the delicious taste of barbecue. Meanwhile, Yi Jia had just finished watching a movie with Xiaoman. They were walking and discussing the degree of loneliness, with eating alone ranking first on the list. Just then, they spotted Yu eating barbecue in a romantic restaurant. They both thought he was very strange. To remedy the effects of a fatty meal, Yu kept breathing out. He used the excuse of checking the quality of the construction, but accidentally broke the newly installed door frame. Meeting Yu in the lobby, Yi Jia complimented him on his connection to the hospital. Just then, Lin Shuang came to feed Yu cake. Yi Jia told Yu to abstain from fatty meat and excused herself. Seeing Yu's sore hand, Lin Shuang offered to cook for him, but Yu didn't like people entering his home and polluting the atmosphere. He told her to bring the food to the apartment lobby and call him to come down and get it. Back home, Yu met Yi Jia standing right outside his door. He thought she brought him food and asked if there was meat. Yi Jia explained it. I found a wrong home. Just then, Xiaoman returned, and Yi Jia quickly excused herself to see her friend. Xiaoman said her drain was clogged and asked if anyone could come and fix it. Yu immediately pushed his student outside to avoid polluting the air in his home. Due to his sore hand, Yu had difficulty cooking. He broke things and couldn't even pick out the shell that fell into the egg yolk. As a result, he couldn't swallow the meal cooked with one hand. Just then, his mother called to remind him that eating alone easily causes psychological problems. Meanwhile, Shen Wu was tasting Xiaoman's cooking. The three of them were eating and chatting happily. Shen Wu revealed that his teacher didn't say a word while eating, thinking that only Lin Shuang could tolerate Yu's strange personality. Just then, they heard loud music. Shen Wu invited his teacher to come over for dinner. Yu refused, but his stomach listened to the call of food. Shen Wu remembered Xiaoman saying that falling in love was like driving a car. Yi Jia revealed that her car hadn't been driven for many years. Xiaoman advised Yi Jia to go out and play more, but Yu thought that after a year, the car would be rusty. If it had been a few more years, it would definitely be scrapped. Yi Jia angrily scolded Yu, calling him trash. Yu heard his student's explanation and realized they were comparing love to vehicles. Chasing after Yi Jia, Yu couldn't find her, so he borrowed the loudspeaker from the fruit vendor to apologize to her. Yi Jia, I was wrong. I was talking about vehicles, not implying anything about you. Finally, Yu found Yi Jia. He explained that he thought everyone was discussing the durability of vehicles and that she was still very young. Just then, Huaiqing came out and invited the two of them into the restaurant. Yu gave a special edition tape as an apology to Yi Jia. She wondered if people still watch tapes. Yu said that high-quality tapes were a favorite of audio and visual enthusiasts. He often used a disc reader and a large projector to watch movies. Yi Jia didn't know where to buy those things. Huaiqing immediately appeared, offering Yi Jia a 30% discount. The next day, on the weekend, Yi Jia installed the film projection equipment. She sipped red wine, ate sweet popcorn, and enjoyed the sound and picture quality as Yu had described. At the hospital, Yu asked his friend to remove a tape. Yi Jia wondered if Yu was causing his friends to spend a lot of money buying disc players and big screens. But she admitted that the movie he gave her was pretty good. After work, Yi Jia went to buy more movie discs. She complained that the last film was boring and she fell asleep in less than 10 minutes. Unexpectedly, Yu was standing right behind her, accusing Yi Jia of lying. She explained that she was only being polite because Huaiqing had asked her to pay for such a beauty. Chasing after Yi Jia, Yu startled her. Yi Jia warned Yu not to stand behind her again. He guessed she was planning to buy a house. Yi Jia wondered why a famous architect like Yu lived in such a small apartment. She remembered that his colleague, Ouyang, lived in a large villa. The next day, Yu's mother came to the hospital to see Yi Jia. She subtly reminded her son-in-law to go to work. She gave Yi Jia some sweets that she made herself. She said that her son's name was Dao, and later she changed it to Yu to fit in the architectural industry. Yi Jia excused herself by saying she was busy teaching interns. MS. Yu pretended to have low blood pressure for a chance to interact more with her future daughter-in-law. Yi Jia told her to measure her blood pressure regularly and limit staying up late. Ms. Yu intentionally left her fan behind as an excuse to see Yi Jia again. Calling her son home for dinner, Ms. Yu praised Dr. Gu as very good, with a beautiful appearance, good temperament, and an impeccable career. Moreover, Yi Jia also praised Yu as outgoing. He finished his food and ran away. Meeting with Xiaoman, Yi Jia asked her to give the fan to Yu. Xiaoman refused because she was afraid of damaging the precious fan. Moreover, she guessed that his mother was intentionally trying to match Yu with Yi Jia. Just then, Yu called, knowing that his mother had gone to see Yi Jia. He said he wasn't free, but he could consider it if she wanted to meet Yi Jia to clarify that his mother had left the fan at his place. She told him to send a delivery address or come get it himself. Meeting Yi Jia, Yu complained that she drank too much sugary milk tea. He listened to her and reduced fat, even drinking healthy green juice. He looked at the moisturizing spray and wondered if her face was like a desert. He also thought her bag was quite big, but full of useless things. Yijia guessed she had changed her jacket and left the fan at home. Yu told Yijia to look at his bag, which was clearly divided into sections. A large compartment for his computer and a small compartment for his wallet. She advised him to buy one for his mother because she was like her, forgetting things. Yu excused himself, not forgetting to remind Yijia to drink more green juice. Instead of getting married and having children, Yu played a simulation game of life. But he always drew the cards for a wife demanding more spending money or a wife leaving, so he decided to stop playing. Meeting Shiaan at the mall, Yijia wanted to buy a multi-compartment bag with a large area for a computer and a small area for a wall or phone. That way, everything was in its place. Shiaan asked Yijia to help her coordinate a new outfit. But Yijia was busy watching Yu try on various hats at the store across the street. Shiaan quickly took a picture and sent it to Shunwoo. Unexpectedly, Yu actually wore the green hat to the company. Just then, Lin Shuang came to see that Yu had revised the design. He changed the materials to reduce costs while still maintaining the open kitchen design. Shunwoo saw his teacher revising his original drawing for the first time. Yu said he wanted his clients to live better and for his students to have a little extra bonus money. He wondered if his hat was that bad. Shunwoo and Lin Shuang quickly praised the green color as harmonious from top to bottom. At a bar, Yu unfortunately met Ouyang hitting on girls. The staff asked Ouyang if he had changed his girlfriend again. Ouyang clarified that he didn't have a girlfriend, and he just met the girl on the flight to France on the basis of not putting any burden on each other. He wanted to experience a lot to find answers in his adventures. On the way home, Yu saw Shiaan promoting alcohol in a restaurant. Many men were leering at her and harassing her. He remembered yesterday, she asked him about the apartment management fees. Coming to find Yijia, Yu used a stomach ache as an excuse. She said she had just met Lin Shuang while checking out home decor styles. She heard Lin Shuang say that he had just helped a client save money to treat his elderly mother. Yu thought it was only a little bit of savings. But Yijia thought that spending money correctly could make people happy and improve relationships. Returning to see Shiaan, Yu complained that the dog was too noisy. She said she was working late and forgot to feed it. Yu asked Shiaan, "Don't you have enough money to pay the service fees?" He thought she wouldn't have enough money even if she sold beer for 3 more months. He unexpectedly lent her money because he knew home was very important to someone drifting around. He advised her not to sell beer anymore so that customers felt happier, because she didn't know how to please men like the other employees. He didn't normally spend a lot of money, but he'd give it to her instead of buying useless things. Her thanks would give him a sense of satisfaction in helping others. Shiaan questioned Yu using money to achieve a sense of accomplishment over her. He helped but then mocked her, so what was the point? Yu didn't understand Shiaan's strong reaction, so he bent down to pick up each coin from the floor. Coming to see Yijia, Yu used appendicitis as an excuse, but she remembered his medical record clearly stated that he had his appendix removed 8 years ago. Yu blamed Yijia for saying that money could improve relationships. Standing overhearing, Yu saw that Shiaan didn't need his pity. Yijia lent Shiaan 10,000 yuan to pay the service fees. Shiaan refused because she decided to move out if she couldn't survive in this city. But she didn't understand why she had to pay 4,000 yuan each month, while Yu only paid 1,000 yuan. Yu immediately called and questioned his old neighbor about unauthorized extensions and being fined. Yet he asked the management to divide the fine by month to trick his granddaughter into paying service fees. Meanwhile, Shiaan received a message from her uncle, who reported that he had paid the service fees for a year. Just then, classical music sounded, signaling that Yu was preparing dinner. Yijia knew that Yu was a little annoying, but his essence was very good. He cared about Shiaan, just a little arrogant and patronizing. Yijia guessed that Yu always put himself on a high to feel safe. He used external arrogance to hide his inner shyness. Meeting Yu on the street, Shiaan heard that he had scolded her uncle for more than 20 minutes. Yu clarified that he only had a frank and deep conversation. Yu, thank you so much. Yu thought that everyone was moved by money. He guessed that he gave too little money that night. Shiaan begged Yu not to break her good impression of him. Meeting Yijia during lunch break, Yu saw her planning to watch the fireworks. He recounted that earlier, Shiaan had thanked him, but he wondered why she wasn't the same age. How could she be so close to Shiaan? Yijia said, "Every day, I have to face birth, aging, illness, and death. So it's very relaxing to meet a simple girl like Shiaan." Yu guessed that Yijia was just pretending to have a youthful soul, and she, speechless, chased him out of her office. Returning home, Yu met Shiaan again. She remembered that Yijia had revealed that his former name was Didao, so she took the initiative to greet him, promising to always be polite to him. The next time, also in the elevator, Shiaan continued to greet Yu proactively. He suddenly imitated Xiaoman's affected manner, asking if she liked going to amusement parks. He said that his sister had stuffed him with 4 tickets, so he'd give them to Xiaoman. Instead of going to the amusement park, Yu decided on a short trip on the weekend. He happened to meet Yi Jia, and even sat right next to her. Yu, seeing Yi Jia watching a movie, revealed that the male lead died in the last episode. But she shouldn't worry because he'd be resurrected in the 2nd season. Just then, the tour guide introduced Lichi Ancient Town, which had a 2,000-year history. Yu asked to correct it, stating that 5,000 years ago, Lichi had people living there. The passengers below praised Yu's knowledge and asked where the couple came from. Yu didn't deny it, replying that they were from Shanghai. They then called Yi Jia Mrs. Yu and invited her to eat dried sweet potatoes. Calling her son, Ms. Yu praised Yi Jia's thoughtfulness, even adding a piece jade bead under the fan. Her return gift was both beautiful and exquisite. She told her son to thank her properly. At a bar, Yu met Ouyang again, courting someone new. He booked a room on the rooftop to watch the fireworks together with the girl as they bloomed. Yu remembered that Yi Jia also wanted to attend the fireworks festival, so he could take this opportunity to thank her on behalf of his mother. Arriving at the hospital, Yu heard Yi Jia talking with a foreign partner, praising her English pronunciation as fluent. He reported that his mother loved the jade she attached to the fan, and he was about to offer an invitation when she told him not to give a return gift, because if they kept going back and forth like that, it would never end. Yu remembered that last time, Yi Jia inquired about the fireworks festival. He happened to have a good seat, so he had prepared wine to watch the fireworks bloom. He sent the location, telling her not to tell anyone else. Yi Jia wondered if Yu wanted to watch the fireworks with her. He said if she liked that, he wouldn't object. Yi Jia refused because she had an appointment with Xiaoman. Yu complained that Xiaoman wasn't reliable and would definitely find a cramped place. But Yi Jia only needed to be with everyone, and the fireworks were just an accompaniment. Waiting for everyone to gather, Xiaoman introduced a secret base, which was an abandoned building, but very suitable for watching fireworks. Unexpectedly, the security guard stopped them, saying that a company had bought this building. Xiaoman apologized to her friends for not doing her research properly. Meanwhile, Yu prepared fruit and wine to eat while watching the fireworks. Yi Jia unexpectedly arrived, asking if she could still watch the fireworks with Yu. As soon as he agreed, she called the whole team over. Shenwu praised his teacher for being amazing, finding a wonderful secret base. The group bowed in thanks to Yu, giving them the opportunity to see such beautiful fireworks. Yi Jia apologized for sharing Yu's secret, but thanks to his blessing, everyone was very happy. Just then, fireworks burst in the sky. Xiaoman never thought it was possible to watch fireworks in such a place. Yu called Yi Jia to another place to give her a virtual reality headset. He personally helped her assemble it, so she could see the fireworks even more beautifully. This was the first time Yi Jia had seen such a magical fireworks display. The first experiences made them both excited and happy. The next day, Yu used a stiff neck as an excuse to come to the hospital to see Yi Jia. She thought many pains could heal on their own and didn't need to prescribe pain medication. Yu guessed that many patients made a big deal out of small things, making Dr. Gu so busy that she didn't have time to clean her house. He boasted that his house was very clean, but couldn't invite her for a visit. Yi Jia, speechless, chased Yu out. At the company, Yu heard Lin Shuang report that no designers dared to take on the completion of a complex project in such a short time. Ouyang also refused because it went against the laws of creation. Yu wanted to accept to prove he was stronger than them. Shenwu praised. Teacher is the designer of the year. Yu thought that people always needed high challenges to stimulate themselves. If successful, he could brag, and if he failed, he'd be a laughingstock. The special feeling among billions of people made him feel safe. Many people said he was fastidious, but in reality, it was persistence with art. On the way to Xiaoman's house, Yi Jia saw Yu always following behind her. She turned around and questioned, "Why don't you say hello?" Yu thought he wouldn't know what to say after greeting her, and he'd be even more embarrassed. Sure enough, it was as he said, so she had to go ahead. Waiting for Yu under the apartment building, Shenwu wanted to help his teacher complete the drawings. Yu questioned his student, "Do you dare to doubt my abilities?" Shenwu explained, "I'm just sharing the work with you." Yu allowed Shenwu to work in the hallway, where to go and bother Xiaoman. During dinner, Xiaoman asked Yi Jia what kind of man she liked. Yi Jia only needed someone who was both ambitious and knew how to share household chores. But in today's society, it was difficult to find such a person. Xiaoman thought the answer was right next door to her. He cleaned and swept every day, more than 100 times. Yi Jia was curious. Didn't Yu's house really have a speck of dust? Looking at Xiaoman's pile of designer goods, Yi Jia understood why she was always short of money. Xiaoman invited Yi Jia to stay overnight to experience the princess treatment. She started putting on makeup, coordinating headwear to enhance Yi Jia's temperament. She wanted to see the neighbors' reaction when they were scared. Going to ring Yu Yu's doorbell. It was Yi Jia who was scared. Shiaan was excited and hurried back to the neighbor's mask. Yu Yu asked Yi Jia if she was dressed up to sing at the Shanghai nightclub. She also wondered if he was wearing a mask to perform the Sichuan face-changing opera. Unexpectedly, Yu Yu could really change faces. Yi Jia asked Yu Yu to try Xiaoman's fried rice. He reluctantly accepted to please the two of them. Yi Jia was curious about the reason he didn't let anyone into his apartment. Yu Yu said, "Home helps isolate myself from the troublesome world. I remember the ancient martial arts heroes all cultivating immortality in secret rooms." Yi Jia wished Yu Yu continued his cultivation and enlightenment. In his dream, Yu Yu saw himself being late for work, his students with attitudes, and the manager transferring the project to his opponent. The head office also decided to let Ouyang manage the studio. Yu Yu tasted failure, witnessing his people turning to curry favor with Ouyang. They even threw him away like a pile of trash. Startled awake at midnight, Yu Yu quickly drank an energy drink to work harder. He turned on classical music, causing the neighbors not to be able to sleep. But the music suddenly stopped because he knew to wear headphones. Yu Yu knew that keeping promises was not easy. However, the promises made were mandatory to fulfill. The next day at the company, Yu Yu was very disappointed in the two traders. He reported that he had finished the design and told his student to quickly make coffee. He was annoyed, which Lin Shuang couldn't understand. She wanted to ask Ouyang for help, but Yu Yu promised to complete the project himself. Passing by a convenience store, Yu Yu bought another 10 energy drinks. He suddenly felt dizzy and fell to the ground. Liang Chuan diagnosed that his brother-in-law was working too hard. Yu Yu didn't eat and drank too many energy drinks. Yu Yu sat up, asking to be discharged from the hospital to go back to work. Liang Chuan quickly stopped him because Yu Yu's blood pressure was unstable. Just then, Shen Wu came in to report that Ouyang would complete the project, but he made a condition that he could revise Yu Yu's design. Shen Wu asked his teacher to calm down and worry about his health first. Yu Yu angrily said he wouldn't take Shen Wu as a student anymore, because he couldn't accept not completing the work on time and also having someone else revise his design. Seeing Yu Yu working on his hospital bed, Yi Jia told him to go to sleep early. She wasn't pleading, but ordering him as a doctor. But Yu Yu said the work was very important to him. Everything in his life revolved around his work. He didn't want others to automatically revise his design. Yi Jia believed that Yu Yu would regain his health and definitely defeat all his opponents. The next day, Lin Shuang came to coax Yu Yu. He thought the stewed soup or tapes were like sugar-coated bullets. Lin Shuang explained that she had to complete the project on time, but Shen Wu couldn't handle it. So she had no choice but to ask Ouyang for help. Yu Yu asked how the client responded, but Lin Shuang avoided answering. Escaping from the hospital to find Shen Wu, Yu Yu asked Xiao Xiao to relay the message that he didn't need his student anymore. He knew that Shen Wu wanted him to rest, but he dared to be rude. Even so, he still understood that he was forced to the point of making reckless statements. Yu Yu complained that Shen Wu wasn't as talented as him, but was quite capable. So if he didn't work for him anymore, he would be a little uncomfortable. Xiao Xiao didn't understand, but Shen Wu knew that his teacher was apologizing to him. Returning home, hearing a call from Yi Jia, Yu Yu quickly apologized for escaping from the hospital. She reported that he had left his USB plugged into the vice president's computer. She would personally return it if he let her into his home. Yu Yu had no choice but to agree, but as soon as Yi Jia spoke to Xiaoman, he snatched the USB and slammed the door shut. Coming to find Xiaoman, Shen Wu wanted to hear news of Yu Yu. He was afraid that his teacher was working too hard, but didn't dare to stop him. Just then, there was a loud noise next door. Yi Jia quickly grabbed a medical kit and went over, calling Yu Yu. Xiaoman is telling Shen Wu, quickly climb over the balcony to save the teacher. Yi Jia thought it was too dangerous, suddenly remembering Yu Yu saying, Xiaoman's uncle thinned 14 centimeters of the wall, so she told Shen Wu to break the dividing wall. Sure enough, Yu Yu lay unconscious on the floor. The alarm suddenly sounded, telling the intruders to put down their weapons. Yu Yu woke up, turned off the alarm, and questioned everyone why they broke a hole in his wall. Yi Jia was afraid Yu Yu would faint, so she tried every means to come and save him. Yu said he was too sleepy, so he just dozed off for a while. Shen Wu pulled Xiaoman back, but the mischievous pet ran into Yu Yu's house. He quickly chased it back, startled to see women's slippers. It turned out that Yi Jia had sneaked into Yu Yu's house. She said that she was a responsible doctor and had to remind him that staying up late would cause cardiovascular disease. Yu Yu looked at Yi Jia, so scared that he gasped, and he couldn't bear to drive her away. Yi Jia gently measured Yu Yu's blood pressure. In a moment of seeing her attentive face, his heart was uncontrollably racing. Yi Jia reported that his blood pressure and heart rate were a little high, but still within the safe range. She also brought the medicine that she prescribed to him from the hospital. They both stood up at the same time, so there was a bit of awkwardness. She said she'd bring him food later. Waiting for Yi Jia to leave, Shun Wu and Xiao Man were both curious about Yu Yu's apartment. Yi Jia was focused on the medical examination, so she only saw the computer desk. Just then, a melodious horn sounded. Yi Jia knew this song was called Thank You. She praised Yu Yu's way of expressing himself as very deep and discreet. Finally, Yu Yu completed the work. The clients were very satisfied with the warmth in Yu Yu's design. They wanted to thank him directly, but he asked for a few days off. After a long sleep, Yu Yu woke up to eat the food Yi Jia cooked. He texted complaining that it was salty, telling her not to make it for others. Returning with his transcendent spirit, Yu Yu encouraged his cousin to suppress the grief, but he wondered why she wore flowers at her uncle's funeral. His cousin corrected, "Today, I'm getting married." Just then, delivery men carried a wreath, and they, seeing the Chinese character for happiness, called Yu Yu to pay more money to turn the wreath into a bouquet. Unexpectedly, the bride misunderstood, thinking that her husband's ex-girlfriend sent the wreath, and as a result, the wedding was chaotic. After being beaten, Yu Yu went to the hospital to check his brain. Yi Jia diagnosed that everything was normal, but he didn't believe it because he still felt a little dizzy. He blamed his mother for sending a confusing voice message. Yi Jia urged Yu Yu to buy medicine and not to occupy other people's medical examination time. Waiting outside to get medicine, Yu Yu felt very hot. He asked the nurse to lower the temperature, but the patient next to him complained of being cold. He looked at Yu Yu, also being of age, and asked if he felt that his hands and feet were always cold. Yu Yu clarified that he was just 40 years old. The old man complained that he was aging fast, not like the male models in magazines. Just then, meeting Yi Jia, the old man urged his daughter to quickly choose a blind date partner. She introduced her father and said Yu Yu was a patient with a brain concussion. She had no choice but to claim him as her boyfriend to escape her father's urging. Waiting for his daughter to return, the old man kept asking her about Yu Yu. Yi Jia remembered that she had completed the goal of 3 blind dates this month. She used the excuse that she had to work the night shift and urged her father to go home and rest first, coming to rely on Xiao Man. Yi Jia lamented that her father wanted to force her to a dead end. She had no other choice but to claim Yu Yu as her boyfriend. She thought that the men who had not yet got married all had problems. They often use the excuse of focusing on their careers, but in reality, they are bad or clinging to their mothers. Besides, there are also quirky people who are difficult to approach. Meanwhile, Yu Yu met Mr. Gu again at the convenience store. He advised Yu Yu, with a brain concussion, not to drink stimulants. He introduced himself as a health expert. Yu Yu had to give up beer and took a dozen bottles of seaweed juice. Following Yu Yu, Mr. Gu questioned him about his relationship with his daughter. Yu Yu affirmed that they were just normal friends. Mr. Gu revealed that Yu Yu was his daughter's only male friend, so he earnestly asked him to date Yi Jia. Early in the morning, Yi Jia saw Yu Yu calling, and she almost spit out her cereal when she heard him calling her grandpa. He made an appointment to meet her at the old place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Xiao Man suspected that Yu Yu was planning to express his love, but Yi Jia absolutely didn't believe it. Xiao Man thought that Yi Jia had to use a quirky way to deal with Yu Yu. Dressing up beautifully, Yi Jia arrived at the meeting point to meet Yu Yu, asking him, "You really wanted to meet me? What's the matter?" Yu Yu advised Yi Jia to obediently listen to her father because it was good enough that someone was willing to go on blind dates with her. She shouldn't be picky and should get married early to ease her deceased mother's mind. Mr. Gu unexpectedly appeared. Recognizing that his daughter always smeared chili sauce on her mouth every time she went on a blind date, Yi Jia did it. "How long have you two been conspiring?" Yu Yu complained that the old man was annoying, while he thought that Yu Yu was also quite hateful. Yu Yu completed the transaction and asked to leave first. Yi Jia affirmed that she'd rather be single for life than randomly choose a man. Arriving at an outdoor restaurant, Yu Yu was invited to participate in a magic show. They saw that he was in a bad mood and promised that he would cheer up in the applause of everyone. As soon as Yu Yu left, the Yi Jia group came to eat. They witnessed him spewing smoke in the magic show and couldn't stop laughing. Yu Yu angrily told no one to touch his fruit plate. He said that he didn't want to meddle in other people's affairs, but he knew Mr. Gu's secret. However, he was very trustworthy and couldn't reveal it to others. Waiting for Yu Yu under the apartment building, Mr. Gu gave him a book called Health Preservation, written by himself. He asked him, "Aren't you inviting a senior into your house for a drink?" Yu Yu said that the elevator was broken, so he had to climb 7 floors. Mr. Gu was exhausted, finally arriving at Yu Yu's house. Unexpectedly, he told him to wait for him outside the door. Yu Yu went in to release the fish and arranged a tea table to receive guests outside. He told Mr. Gu that if he ran out of topics to talk about, they could chat about goldfish. Mr. Gu wondered why his daughter was acquainted with such a quirky person. Yu Yu asked him to sign the book because his collectibles didn't need to be read anyway. Just then, hearing his daughter's voice, Mr. Gu quickly hid in the stairwell. Yu Yu pretended to be drinking tea, reading a book, and raising chickens. The next day, Yu came for a medical examination. Yi-jia diagnosed that he had mild gastritis due to eating unsanitary food. Yu remembered that last night, he only ate buns that Shiaan gave him from the day before. He ate one, while Mr. Gu ate 9 buns. Yi-jia couldn't get through to her father, so she rushed to the hotel. Sure enough, Mr. Gu was vomiting and having diarrhea. Yi-jia asked Yu to persuade her father to go to the hospital. As soon as he gestured a few times, he obediently listened. On the way, Yu revealed that Yi-jia's father was about to get married. He was embarrassed to tell his daughter, so he asked him for help. Mr. Gu insisted that Yu announce it in front of him. He said the other party was very kind and good-natured. At the hospital, Mr. Gu asked his daughter if she would attend the wedding. Yi-jia used the excuse of being busy at the hospital, telling her father to rest first. Yu wished Mr. Gu an early birth of a son, and then also slipped away. Knowing that Yi-jia was working the night shift, Mr. Gu brought food for his daughter. He understood that his daughter was still angry, even blaming him for betraying her mother. Yi-jia felt that her father had forgotten her mother because she often came home and didn't see her father. She thought that after her mother left, she no longer had a family. She didn't like going on blind dates because marriage had no meaning. Mr. Gu remembered that 15 years ago, his daughter went to study abroad, and then 10 years ago, his wife also passed away. Many times lonely, he had to find a hobby, but the taste of family was forever etched in his subconscious. Yi-jia didn't expect her father to remember all the dishes her mother used to cook. Dad, I wrongly blamed you. Mr. Gu revealed that all of the dishes were cooked by Yu. At first, he refused to help, but as soon as he heard that it was Yi-jia's childhood food, he went into the kitchen to make it right away. Yi-jia promised to attend her father's wedding. She texted her mother's old number that her father had never forgotten their little family. She hoped her mother would come to her in her dreams to hear the story of Yu. He's as quirky as you, but I always shut him down. Coming to see Yu, Yi-jia gave him a gift from her father. Yu guessed that she just attended her father's wedding. Yi-jia said, "The stepmother is quite similar to my father." Yu immediately analyzed that her future husband would have to face stubborn in-laws. Yi-jia thought that it had nothing to do with Yu. Chasing after Yi-jia, Yu sent wedding money. He planned to feign ignorance and not give it, but she came to his door. Yi-jia snatched it, thanking Yu for his kindness, inviting Shiaan to play. Yi-jia said that she just went on a blind date, and the other person opened a self-service dumpling shop that was doing quite well. Shiaan looked at the photo, feeling that the appearance was also very good, but Yi-jia thought he wasn't suitable for her because he was quite taciturn and lacked humor. Shiaan was curious about what kind of person Dr. Gu had loved before. Yi-jia said that she was previously engaged to someone, and then he decided to go abroad, wanted her to give up everything to follow. Yi-jia refused and broke off contact. Arriving to supervise construction, Yu heard the neighbors reminding them that sawdust was flying all over their house. Lao's son apologized, promising to close the door when sawing. He waited for the neighbor to return and then complained that he was making a fuss, but the neighbor heard and questioned the construction team's lack of courtesy. Lao's son apologized again, but Yu complained that he lacked sincerity. Lao's son was angry, complaining that Yu was nitpicking. As a result, they got into a conflict, punching the neighbor in the nose. Coming to see Yi-jia, Yu said that he had just been provoked to the point of having a stomach ache. Yu was about to talk about the perpetrator, but learned that Yi-jia knew the owner of the dumpling shop, so he had to change the subject, praising that the shop was both cheap and delicious. If she wanted to eat with him, he would reluctantly agree. Seeing Yu showing off his kneading skills, Yi-jia helped him rearrange the table, but Yu thought that was the rhythm of life, because when he was young, he saw his mother kneading dough, and the table would also clang. Yi-jia asked Shiaan to admire Yu's chef king appearance. Shiaan admitted that Yu was a typical family man. On the other side, Yu's mother was also wrapping dumplings, just as he called to ask her how many folds to make when wrapping dumplings. MS. Yu said that when he married a wife, he had to make enough 8 folds. She heard her daughter's voice and urged Yu to quickly make a video call. She saw Yi-jia and asked if the two of them had any future plans. Yu quickly hung up to continue showing off his cooking. His uniform work made everyone wide-eyed with admiration. Shinwu thought it was the beauty of obsessive-compulsive disorder. He discovered that the 2 aprons printed with Chef King and God of Cookery were a match made in heaven. Yi-jia embarrassedly quickly turned off her phone. Tasting Yu's skills, Yi-jia exclaimed with praise. He revealed that his ancestors worked in the imperial kitchen. She took the opportunity to thank him for helping her father recreate family dishes. The owner met Yi-jia again and came over to greet her. Yi-jia introduced Yu as both her patient and her friend. Yu asked him Zhang to accept the melon as an apology from him. Mr. Zhang dared not accept it, and even invited the two to eat free dumplings. By the river, Yi-jia guessed that Yu invited her to eat dumplings to take the courage to apologize to Mr. Zhang. Yu corrected, saying that he was afraid that the other person wouldn't keep up with his thinking. So he asked her to give the dumpling shop owner the courage to accept his apology. Yijia revealed that Mr. Zhang had once been on a blind date with her. Yu complained that he was unstable and not suitable for Yijia. The next day, Lin Shuang reported a large order of 500 square meters, but Yu thought that if they were that rich, then the space also belonged to the gang of thieves. Lin Shuang said that the client was very famous and painted an oil painting worth several 100,000 yuan. He didn't care about the budget and specifically requested Yu to design, but the client invited Yu to a dinner party, and he had to bring a girlfriend. Returning to meet Xiaoman in the elevator, Yu invited her to attend a dinner party with many famous artists. Sure enough, the world of artists in the eyes of ordinary people was very interesting, but Xiaoman was a little disappointed because there weren't many male artists. An artist named Luo Han asked Xiaoman if she was Yu's girlfriend. She clarified that she just lived next door to him. Luo Han then invited the beautiful girl to travel through time with him by bike. Meanwhile, Lin Shuang introduced the client's work. Yu didn't feel any artistic sense, only seeing it as garbage. Unexpectedly, Luo Han heard and wondered what was bad about the painting. Yu complained that the character posed stiffly. He praised that the frame was more beautiful, carrying a contemporary artistic color. Luo Han liked Yu's criticism because he didn't paint, but only made the frame. He wanted Yu to design a space that created the feeling of the most luxurious private club in Shanghai. He didn't need the warmth of a family, only liking true extravagance and splendor. Waiting for Yu on the way home, Xiaoman said that Luo Han kept asking her out. She had refused, but he still didn't give up. Yu told Xiaoman to block Luo Han's number, not needing to be polite with this kind of person. But she was afraid of affecting everyone's work, so she would wait until the project was completed to block his number. Because besides Yu, Shenwu and Xiao Xiao all needed this project very much. The next day at the company, Yu saw that his students were working very hard, but he had to announce that he wouldn't accept the project anymore. Lin Shuang wondered if Luo Han had harassed Xiaoman. Yu said that he hated the way he looked at the house. He liked splendor, and when he got tired of it, he would arbitrarily tear down the design. Lin Shuang emphasized that the client had paid in advance. This was not only Yu's business, but also involved the head office, material suppliers, and the construction team. Coming to see Yu, Xiaoman didn't need him to give up the project for her sake. Yu clarified that he didn't want to accept this job in the first place. After he harassed her, he didn't want to endure it any longer. Inviting Yu to wrap dumplings, Yijia coaxed him to continue the design project. She thought that there was no matter in the world that was 100% satisfactory. Yu emphasized that he would absolutely not work for someone who had a design concept that contradicted his own. If Yijia faces life, then he must take responsibility for a safe home. He cannot fulfill others while having to endure people like Luo Han. But Yijia remembered that Lin Shuang and Shenwu had always endured Yu. They were respectful because of admiration, not fear. That was the responsibility and obligation between close friends. Arriving at the company, Yu asked his student if he was enduring him. Shenwu didn't dare to speak because he was afraid that his teacher would get angry. Yu pondered for a long time and then decided to take back the project. Lin Shuang thanked Yu for making her trip to Europe possible. Passing by a video store, Yu still hadn't seen the movie Little Women. He questioned who was quicker than him and still borrowed it without returning it. Huaiqing apologized for not being able to reveal customer information. Returning home, Yu prepared for the racing competition. He liked the pleasure that speed brought, causing his confidence to explode. He considered it the ultimate feast of technology and courage. Arriving at the racetrack, Yu waved to the formidable opponents. The host announced that the finals of the model car race officially began. The order of players was arranged according to the qualifying score, with the first player Cloud Walker, the second player Wind Whisperer, the third player Zhang Liheng, and the last player named Yu. Just entering the race, Yu had a beautiful start. He held the third position, trying to advance from the outside. But Wind Whisperer was very formidable, reaching a speed of over 100 kilometers per hour. All four players were very focused, because just a small mistake would be surpassed by the opponent. Yu entered a bold turn and sprinted to the first position. Cloud Walker was unwilling, trying to overtake. But Yu's racetrack was too excellent, and he didn't allow the opponent to surpass him, finally crossing the finish line first. At the company, Yu introduced his warhorse, but Lin Shuang and Shenwu weren't interested in the model car race. Yu admitted that sharing something you like with someone who doesn't understand was a kind of loneliness that was self-inflicted humiliation. Shenwu thought that it was really lonely to open the door to a dark home. Yu then came up with the idea of installing a light switch right outside the door. Just then, Xiaoman, writhing in abdominal pain, came to ask Yu to take her to the hospital. After examination, Yijia diagnosed that Xiaoman had appendicitis. and her finger had a slight fracture because Yu accidentally stepped on it. Shiaan remembered Yu grinding her finger twice like stubbing out a cigarette. Coming to find Yu, Shenwu, on behalf of Shiaan, asked his teacher to take care of the dog named Daoj. He heard Yu refuse and decided not to let him close the door. Just then, Jia came to get clothes for Shiaan. Yu distracted her in order to slam the door shut. Jia said that if Yu didn't help Shiaan, then she shouldn't come to her for medical treatment again. Sitting under the apartment building, Shenwu was afraid that his girlfriend would be jealous. Jia couldn't watch the dog either because she was busy working the night shift. Yu unexpectedly appeared, agreeing to take care of Daoj for 5 days. Shenwu guessed that his teacher was worried about Dr. Gu getting angry. Yu said that he suddenly had compassion for animals. Returning home, Yu measured the correct amount of food for the dog. He knew that it wasn't Ming Chi's fault that Daoj was unhappy, but he couldn't let it mess up the whole house. Yu turned on classical music and began to prepare dinner. He advised Daoj not to starve himself, but to eat and drink happily like him. At the company, Yu still kept an eye on Daoj through the camera. Just then, Lin Shuang invited clients in to discuss the budget. Yu saw Daoj pulling on the chain and quickly excused himself. He ran back home as fast as he could, but the apartment had turned into a garbage dump. Just then, Shiaan, who had just had surgery, called to ask about Daoj. Unexpectedly, Yu angrily said that he had eaten her pet. Coming to his sister's house, Yu showed his nephew Daoj. He flattered his mother, asking her to help take care of it for a few days. Ms. Yu agreed on the condition that Yu invite Jia to eat dinner. Returning to pick up Daoj, Yu again found his house had turned into a garbage dump. Just then, Jia came to get things for Shiaan and brought more dog food. She knew he was struggling, so she intended to take Daoj to the hospital. She asked her colleagues to take turns taking care of it. Yu refused because he was busy dissecting Daoj. Under the setting sun, Yu stroked Daoj for the first time. It cuddled up to him, demanding food, which he found quite interesting. Yu led Daoj home, beginning to adapt to its presence in his private space. He ate dinner with Daoj and played the song Hachiko for it. He told Daoj not to make trouble, waiting for him to go buy more food. Unexpectedly, when he returned, Yu saw Daoj destroy his precious model car. He angrily took the dog to return it to Jia. He knew that he shouldn't argue with animals, but he was also a victim. Jia advised Yu to be tolerant because both humans and dogs make mistakes. She wondered, are you going to stand outside the door forever? Yu didn't expect Jia to invite him in the house, but he didn't want to see Daoj again. He called to remind her to measure 80 grams of food for each meal and to wash Daoj's feet with clean water. Jia opened the door and asked Yu if he had anything else to say. He was a little reluctant, but had to say goodbye to her and Daoj. Returning home, Yu repaired the buttons and the model car. He put them back in their original positions. Unexpectedly, the curtain blew them over again. He realized that he had wrongly blamed Daoj. On this side, Jia took the dog for a walk. She temporarily chained Daoj to a chair to buy a drink. Just then, Yu called to remind her to remember to feed Daoj on time. Jia turned back and didn't see the dog anymore. Yu said that Daoj could pull the chain off himself. Jia panicked and went everywhere to find the dog. Yu ran over. Just then, Jia saw the shadow of Daoj under the cold lake water. He quickly jumped down, but luckily it was just a stuffed dog. A familiar bark suddenly rang out. Yu looked at Jia holding Daoj safely and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, Shiaan was discharged from the hospital. Jia said that she had lost Daoj the night before, but Yu arrived in time and even jumped into the cold lake water to save Daoj. She thought that people who love pets must also know how to care for others. Returning to see Yu, Shiaan thanked him for taking care of Daoj. Yu took the opportunity to help Shiaan pull the suitcase into the elevator. She lamented that she hadn't sold a single car yet. So how would she have enough money to buy dog food? The next day at the company, Yu remembered that Lin Shuang's car was outdated. He introduced a fashionable car model, which was very suitable for someone with style like her. But Lin Shuang lived reclusively and didn't like to change cars. Yu then tried to persuade his student to buy a car, saying he could get married on installments without a deposit. Shenwu said that he didn't have enough money to get a driver's license. So how could he afford to buy a car? Coming to find Jia, Yu didn't know how to open his mouth. So he drew Jia standing next to a car to get her to buy the car. Jia chased Yu out because he drew her too fat. She wondered if he was helping Shiaan sell cars. Yu said, I'm just worried about Daoj. Jia told Yu that if he could convince her father not to ride a motorcycle anymore, she would help him sell this car. Coming to see Mr. Gu, Yu thought that a family man shouldn't ride an unsafe motorcycle. Moreover, when waiting for his wife to go to the supermarket, there was no trunk to put things in, and the weather was also erratic with rain and sunshine, lacking shelter. In particular, The state stipulated that people over 70 years old could not drive large displacement vehicles. Yu advised Mr. Gu to consider a car that was both convenient and safe. Waiting under the apartment building, Mr. Gu decided to sell his large displacement motorcycle to Yu. He was very sorry, but listened to him and bought a safe car. He advised Yu to find a girl who was used to riding in this car. The next day, Yu took Mr. Gu to buy a car. Mr. Gu didn't need Shiaan to introduce him and immediately decided to buy 5 for the whole club. Shiaan didn't expect that the god of wealth would come so quickly. They invited the children to the farewell party for the large displacement motorcycles. Mr. Gu introduced each member of the club, named from 1 to 5. They all loved riding motorcycles. The eldest son tripped Yu to complete the ritual of joining the club. By the red bonfire, Mr. Gu and his brothers sang songs praising beautiful friendship forever. They had experienced youth, giving their all on every road. Although old and weaker, those years could not be erased. Waking up early in the morning, Yijia saw that Yu was also awake early like her. He invited her to sit and watch the sunrise together. Yijia said that when working overtime or having insomnia, she would see the sunrise. He guessed that she often worked the night shift, leading to a disrupted biological clock. He wasn't an expert, but knew how to induce sleep effectively, like counting sheep. Yijia said that she had counted up to 8,000 sheep, but Yu revealed that she had to imagine the little sheep jumping back and forth. In addition, she could drink a glass of warm milk in the evening. Yijia heard Yu mention the 21st method and fell asleep on his shoulder. Yu didn't dare to move, continuing to advise her to listen to white noise. Those seemingly boring sounds would help her quickly fall into a good sleep. Waiting for Yu to return, Mr. Gu asked Brother 6 to take care of his warhorse. Yu didn't like joining the club, but still called Mr. Gu uncle with respect. Just like that, Yu owned a large displacement motorcycle. He felt a little different. Perhaps it was the kingly aura of the sun, both dazzling and warm. Inviting Yi Jia to his house, Shiaan tried to cook scallion oil noodles like the ones outside. Yi Jia invited Shiaan to participate in a matchmaking festival. She had agreed with her father to exchange it for 2 months of peace. Just then, music sounded next door. Shiaan wondered, is Yu doing rhythmic exercises? It turned out he was doing abdominal exercises, but the bones of a 40-year-old were no longer as flexible as before. Arriving at the hospital, Yu complained of pain all over his body. He had just pushed the roller 9 times, but couldn't move anymore. Yi Jia didn't believe that he had just exercised less than 10 times and was hurting to this extent. She praised Yu for not having abs, but still being full of charm. She invited him to attend the matchmaking festival arranged by her father to prove his charm. They could bet after the festival to see who has potential partners who want to date them. At the party, Yi Jia reported that she had completed the goal for the month. Just then, Yu walked in, attracting all the attention. Shiaan admitted that Yu had presence, as long as he didn't open his mouth to speak. Yu said that he couldn't let Uncle lose face. A blind date partner named Shiaan came to invite the beauty for a drink. Yu thought Yi Jia was very ordinary, not to the extent of being a beauty. From head to toe, she only had 2 dimples that were passable. Shiaan wondered if this was Yi Jia's ex-husband. She didn't deny it, revealing that he had a beautiful exterior but normal function. Going up to the 2nd floor, Yu wanted to prove his charm. Sure enough, as soon as he sat down, 2 girls came to compete for him, but his venomous mouth couldn't keep them for more than a minute. Walking down the stairs, Yu saw a girl named Wenli taking pictures of him without his permission. He reminded her that if she continued to take pictures, she would have to pay a fee. Wenli said that she was hired to take photos of the event, but respected his privacy. Because it was a film camera, she couldn't delete them. Wenli could only develop the pictures and then give them to him in person. She heard that his name was Yu and immediately recognized him as a famous architect with a quirky personality. She remembered that his designs all took the kitchen as the center. Yu knew that many people thought that having a bed meant having a home, but in reality, the smell of kitchen smoke was the real home. On this side, Shiaan guessed that Yu ran away because he was afraid of the feeling of failure. Just then, they saw Yu talking and laughing with a young girl. Yi Jia guessed that he wanted to win so much that he was flirting with the event staff. It turned out that they were exchanging about how to cook braised pork. The pork must be browned evenly, add old ginger and green onions, and then mix with rock sugar. After adding water, you can add cinnamon and star anise. The moment of carrying a plate of shimmering red and yellow meat is the beauty of the world. Wenli invited Yu to immediately go to a restaurant. Meeting Yi Jia, Yu asked if anyone wanted to marry her yet. Yi Jia immediately called Shiaan to continue their conversation. Yu went to eat with Wenli, not forgetting to report his victory. At the restaurant, Yu praised that the pork was very authentic. Wenli said that she used to photograph chefs. Yu thought that Wenli's photos were very ordinary, but full of artistic sense. She wasn't like many photographers who just closed their eyes and blindly pressed the shutter. Wenli shared that she didn't want to photograph celebrities or homeless refugees. She only liked to photograph beautiful things, but those photos didn't make money. Yu supported Wenli. He waited for the photos to help troubled people find peace and people in dead ends find hope. On the way to work, Xiao saw Yu getting out of a young girl's car. Wenli also took a photo, promising to send the work to Yu next time. Entering the office, Xiao sent the video to her boyfriend. Shen Wu understood why his teacher was so handsome today. He posted the clip to the group, stunning everyone. Xiao inquired, "Teacher is dating?" Yu told Shen Wu to take down the poster and hang a more realistic photo. Meeting Yu on the way home, Xiaoman inquired about the girl this morning. He said that he had gone to eat and take pictures with her, but they hadn't exchanged phone numbers yet. Unexpectedly, Wenli was standing right under the apartment building. She asked for the delivery address to send him the photos. Yu subtly reminded Xiaoman, "Quickly go back first." Wenli invited Yu to visit her shop on the weekend. She had an interesting scanner and photo developing fluid. Returning home, Yu looked at the artistic portrait. He felt interested and found his old camera. On this side, Xiaoman ran to Yi Jia's house, reporting that Yu was really dating Wenli. She had witnessed them talking intimately. Yi Jia didn't understand why her heart felt empty. Xiaoman wondered, is Yi Jia uncomfortable? Yi Jia quickly denied it, but couldn't force a smile anymore. The next day, Yu called Yi Jia on video for the first time, asking her to help him choose an outfit. Yi Jia wondered, "Are you dating Wenli? If so, I advise you to wear the first set on the right." Arriving at the hospital, Yu used the excuse of testing the camera. Yi Jia wasn't free, urging him to ask someone else. Yu said that among the people he knew, Yi Jia looked the best in photos. She just needed to stand still, and he would take care of everything else. He praised her face as large, very easy to focus. Arriving at Wenli's studio, Yu wanted to take a portrait. She advised him to be more natural, like putting one foot on the ground. But she still thought that today, he wasn't suitable for taking pictures. Because he bought the premium package, she wanted the most realistic work. She scheduled him to come back for photos another day. Visiting the photo shop, Yu praised the studio as very interesting. He asked Wenli to develop a roll of film for him. Wenli praised Yu for taking very professional photos. He wanted to personally complete the remaining steps. On the weekend, Wenli came to take photos for Yu at the office. Just then, Shen Wu used the excuse of forgetting something to get to know the girl who had helped his teacher. Yu remembered that he had said there was no need to come to work today. But not only Shen Wu, Xiao also brought milk tea for her teacher. Yu told Wenli to continue taking photos, not paying attention to them. Unexpectedly, Lin Shuang also joined in. She reported that the client was very satisfied with the design and increased the budget. Shen Wu happily asked Wenli to take a commemorative photo. Yu complained that everyone was annoying and invited Wenli to take outdoor photos. He asked her to be his model so he could practice a little. Following his teacher, Shen Wu saw the two eating ice cream in winter. Xiao said that if his teacher was willing to eat it, it meant he had been successfully seduced. On this side, Xiaoman watched the video Shen Wu sent, admitting that Yu treated Wenli very well. Meeting Yi Jia, Shiman showed off Chinese sword dance. She said that she had already drunk 6 cups of tea. Shiman revealed that there were still 12 more distinctive cups of tea. Yi Jia used the excuse of being busy at the hospital, asking to excuse herself, saying that she wouldn't come again next time. Just then, Lin Shuang called, asking if Yi Jia had seen Yu. He had requested 10 days of leave and withdrew 200,000 yuan from the contingency fund. Finally, Lin Shuang tracked down Yu's location. But arriving at the place, they unexpectedly saw Wenli in a wheelchair. She apologized for taking up so much of Yu's time. He reported that he had completed the design of Wenli's house. He wanted to install handrails everywhere to help her move around more easily. In addition, Yu gave Wenli a pair of binoculars that could see objects 10 kilometers away. She didn't need to leave her home, and she could still see the beauty outside. Yu encouraged Wenli not to be afraid of surgery. Reading Wenli's medical record, Yi Jia diagnosed damage to the motor cortex. After the operation, her legs would definitely recover. However, Yu was afraid that the condition would be more serious. Yi Jia knew that Yu cared about Wenli, even willing to risk his life for love. He said that he wasn't dating, but only lending Wenli in advance to repair her house. He promised to hide her condition, so he requested leave. Yi Jia wondered why Yu told her. He was afraid that she would misunderstand and get angry. Yi Jia was a little flustered, quickly leaving work early. Chasing after Yi Jia, Yu heard that she had just met Shiman. Yi Jia praised that he was also very cute. Yu then asked if she was looking for a husband or a child. Yu, what did you say? Yu said that he was Uncle 6. He couldn't let his niece misbehave. He showed her the photos he had taken the day before. Yi Jia praised that the photos were quite beautiful, very clear. Yu thought it was because her face was big, making it easy to focus. Yijia angrily snatched her photo file. She turned back under the twilight, admitting that she wasn't compatible with Shiaan. Returning to clean the house, Yu found a dirty sock. He guessed that it was Daoj catching random things, unexpectedly. After smelling the stinky sock, he had to be hospitalized due to a respiratory infection. Yijia asked Yu how many days he had worn the sock for them to be so dirty, but she emphasized that he didn't take care of his health, so he was prone to getting sick. She urged him to quickly think about if there were any other dirty things in the house. She felt that not having to hear him talk was indeed very comfortable. Because her teacher was in the hospital, Shiaan had to stay up all night to revise the design. Yu said through the camera to his student quickly go to sleep. But Shiaan remembered what his teacher taught, that designs must be right. Waiting for his teacher to be discharged from the hospital, Shiaan welcomed the emperor back to the palace. Yu heard that the clients were very satisfied with Shiaan design. However, he told his student not to refer to artificial intelligence anymore because it was effective but had no soul. Instead of creating, artificial intelligence only mixed the styles of designers. He thought that the soul of art lay in unique creativity. Shiaan understood that he must have his own design concept. He asked to redo the design, replacing this artificial intelligence drawing. Yu agreed and gave his student all of the design fees. Coming to see Yu, a representative from a design company reported that they had recruited Lin Shuang to work in Beijing. She would have more opportunities to develop her abilities. Seeing his teacher pondering, Shiaan submitted a new design. Yu praised his student's progress. Although the floral pattern was a bit tacky, Shiaan thought that he was 30 years old, so he wanted to start his own business. Yu objected because every design studio was full of flaws. Moreover, Shiaan didn't yet have a design concept. Shiaan thought that even if he wasn't perfect, he could still start his own business. But if his teacher wanted his student to stay and help, he wouldn't leave. Yu didn't need anyone's help, only reminding his student that he was courting failure. Shiaan wondered where his future was. Following Yijia to the bookstore, Yu said, Lin Shuang is about to jump ship. Yijia thought that if Yu didn't feel regretful, he should respect other people's decisions. But if he wanted to keep Lin Shuang, he had to show sincerity. Yu introduced an introductory design book to Yijia, while she gave him an anatomy book. On this side, Xiao returned home and saw that her boyfriend still hadn't cooked. She complained that he was obsessed with playing games and wanted to open his own studio. Moreover, she was about to lose her job because Lin Shuang was moving to Beijing. Shiaan questioned his girlfriend why she was only talking about Lin Shuang jumping ship now. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have wanted to start his own business. That would be like rubbing salt into his teacher's wound. Xiao blamed Shiaan for always thinking about his teacher without considering what others were saying. Shiaan watched the video. Ouyang dared to complain that his teacher designed garbage. Meanwhile, Yu was dissecting a chicken. He suddenly received news that Shiaan had gotten into trouble. In front of the police station, Yu scolded his student for daring to fight and not even being able to beat Ouyang. Shiaan said that Ouyang had criticized his teacher, but the design was done by him. His teacher taught him for 5 years, explaining even a small problem for a whole hour, so no one was allowed to curse. Yu questioned his student fighting. Who would dare to hire a designer? Shiaan didn't want to start his own business, so he could stay and take care of his teacher. Yu didn't need that, telling his student to worry about himself first. Preparing a tea table outside the door, Yu asked Yijia to choose an outfit for his television appearance. He went in to get his favorite outfit, but she complained that it was boring. He then coordinated a new style, combining a white shirt with a cardigan. Yijia thought it was quite good, but too casual. She told him to try the shirt from the second set and the pants from the third set. Sure enough, the elegant look was very suitable for Yu. Yijia came closer, adjusting Yu's tie. She advised him to manage his mouth well during the interview, knowing that his teacher was going to be on television. Shiaan asked his girlfriend to watch with him. Yu introduced his typical works and a very diligent student. He also kept the interview video from when Shiaan asked to be his student. He said Shiaan had started his own business, becoming an independent designer. If anyone didn't like his work, they could try to find him. Shiaan, this teacher wishes you to realize your dreams soon. I will always be behind you, believing and supporting you. Coming to the company to pack his things, Shiaan thanked his teacher. He bowed farewell to the most important teacher in his life. The teachings, the mentor-student relationship, and the care like a relative would remain in their hearts forever. A week later, Lin Shuang saw Yu repairing the light bulb himself. She reported that the head office had sent a new designer to the studio. Yu objected, but Lin Shuang still called the new designer. Unexpectedly, Shiaan ran in, introducing himself as having just signed a contract with the head office. He was on the same level as Yu, and all were managed by Lin Shuang. Yu clarified that he was a veteran designer. Shiaan reported that he would pursue the English countryside style. At the birthday party, Lin Shuang reported that Xiao Xiao would be Yu Yu and Shun Wu's assistant. Just then, Yu Yu arrived, guessing that Lin Shuang was giving instructions before leaving. He gave her a rare metal block. If humans became extinct, it would still not be broken. Lin Shuang understood Yu Yu, wishing her a long life. She said that she would sign the contract and then hand over the work. Chasing to the place where Lin Shuang signed the contract, Yu Yu hoped she would stay because all of her achievements were based on his designs. Lin Shuang wondered if everything she had achieved was entirely dependent on Yu Yu. He admitted that without her, he wouldn't be able to do anything. In recent years, he had only focused on creation and couldn't communicate with clients. Lin Shuang didn't expect Yu Yu to know how to praise others. In the end, Lin Shuang returned to the studio. She announced that she had been promoted by the head office to be the operations director of the design department. She reminded Yu Yu to call her director Lin. On the way home from work, Xiaoman felt that she was being followed. Her ex-boyfriend unexpectedly appeared, begging her to get back together. But she said that they had broken up and she didn't want to be involved with him anymore. Xiaoman saw Yu Yu and quickly ran to ask him for help. The ex-boyfriend saw Yu Yu and planned to call the police and then smashed his phone. Yu Yu pushed him away and pulled Xiaoman to escape. In the moment of tightly holding Yu Yu's hand, Xiaoman's heart unconsciously beat very strongly. Because every time she was in danger, he arrived in time to save her. He climbed over the towering balcony, took her to the hospital to take care of Daoj, and even lowered himself to advertise and sell cars for her. Coming to see Yi Jia, Yu Yu proudly announced that he had been invited to attend the Shanghai Designer of the Year award ceremony. He believed that the competition was very fair, so he would definitely win. He gave her a ticket to broaden her horizons. Yi Jia refused, unless Yu Yu begged her. He angrily took the ticket and left. But less than a minute later, he came back. Yi Jia, please be my companion. Yi Jia shyly took Yu Yu's hand, agreeing to attend the award ceremony with him. On the biggest day in the design industry, Yu Yu publicly led Yi Jia. He reminded the reporters to focus the camera on his companion. He and she signed the event board. She heard him complain about her doctor handwriting, starting to regret accepting to attend. Yu saw a couple passing by, immediately urging Yi Jia to hook his arm. In the awards ceremony, Ouyang received the Most Outstanding New Face Award. Yi Jia praised him, saying he was more handsome than online. For the most important title, Yu Yu was not surprised to receive the Designer of the Year award. He stretched out his hand, reminding Yi Jia to quickly stand up and hug to congratulate him. He stepped onto the stage to receive the Certificate of Merit, taking the opportunity to share the idea of a gathering space with many colleagues. He hoped that more and more people would have a warm home. Ouyang praised Yu Yu, saying it very well, worthy of being the Designer of the Year. The whole auditorium applauded, making Yu Yu extremely radiant in front of Yi Jia's eyes. Returning to visit his family, Yu Yu had his whole family watch the award ceremony. Everyone now knew that he had excellently received the title of Designer of the Year. Mizu looked at her son hugging Yi Jia and was so happy that she fainted. Arriving at the hospital, Yi Jia diagnosed that his mother had mild myocardial ischemia. She should rest more and avoid strong excitement. Yi was still worried, quickly grabbing Yi Jia's hand. She told him to rest assured because she was always here. Just then, Mizu woke up, saying she had dreamed of Naiha Bridge. She intended to drink Mangpa soup, but remembered that her son hadn't married a wife yet. Passing by Yi Jia's office, Yu Yu thanked her. Yi Jia discovered that Yu Yu cared about someone. The easier he was to make that person excited. He told her, "Don't educate my life anymore." Yi Jia blurted it out, but Yu Yu didn't find it funny. Before going to Beijing for training, Xiaoman organized a farewell party for everyone. Yu Yu also came, cooking noodles for Xiaoman's farewell. He told her that if she was busy, she could give Daoj to him anytime. Xiaoman took all her courage, intending to confess her true feelings. Just then, Yi Jia came to give flowers, promising to visit Xiaoman during her vacation. She started talking with Yu Yu, making Xiaoman feel very redundant. Chasing after Xiaoman, Yi Jia heard that she liked Yu Yu, but Xiaoman knew that he only treated Yi Jia specially. Xiaoman wondered if Yi Jia liked Yu Yu. She didn't see Yi Jia respond and understood the answer. Xiaoman opened the door to make it clear to Yi Jia. She said that she intended to confess to Yu Yu, but having just witnessed the two arguing like an old married couple, she really admired them. From the moment Yi Jia appeared, Yu Yu's eyes became visibly happy. Yi Jia also spoke with Yu Yu in a different state. Xiaoman realized that the two were true love. At the bar, Ouyang asked to take a photo with his idol. Before the awards ceremony, he didn't understand the senior's design concept, but when he saw the Yu Yu couple at the ceremony, he realized that the gathering space was for two people. From the layout of the kitchen to the size of the table, they were all designed enough for two people to use. Being able to share every moment of the day while eating was really admirable. Scheduling Yu Yu to the lovers' barbecue restaurant, Yi Jia ordered all the meat dishes he liked. Yu wondered why Yi Jia suddenly asked him to eat. She used the excuse that the beef tongue dish here means eloquent speech. The staff reported that only couples who complete the Lover's Kiss Challenge can eat this special dish. If they perform a French kiss, they will be given an additional plate. Yu said that if Yi Jia wanted to eat it, he could reluctantly try the challenge once. He slowly moved closer, but was so nervous that he needed to use the restroom. Yi Jia waited for a long time, but didn't see Yu return. Perhaps at this age, starting a kiss was no longer simple. Both were tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The next day at the hospital, Yu heard that Yi Jia was on vacation. They both needed time to remember the past and determine their future path. Inviting Yi Jia to his house, Yu still prepared the table outside the door. She disappointedly turned to leave. Yu quickly stopped Yi Jia, explaining that he was afraid that grilling inside would leave a smell. He apologized for ruining the challenge, because he was very afraid of starting a relationship and then not being able to last long. He knew that he wasn't good at talking and made many mistakes. Yi Jia questioned whether Yu was afraid of an imaginary failure and gave up the opportunity before him. He hadn't even started a relationship and had already declared it unsalvageable. But Yu, love is not a one-person thing. You are afraid of ruining everything because you forget that there is me. If we love each other, I'm not Dr. Gu or a friend, but your companion. No matter how difficult it is, I will get through it with you. Yu understood Yi Jia's meaning, immediately asking her to go inside and get a bottle of soy sauce. Yi Jia visited Yu's house for the first time, realizing that he had prepared everything in pairs. She entered a garden, seeing that the goldfish were no longer lonely. On the table was Yu's portrait. In the back was her. Yu said that he really liked sculpting small animals, so he designed this secret scene to be their home. Yi Jia, I want to renovate this apartment. At first, I designed a space for myself, but now I have to redesign the house for 2 people. Moreover, I have to consider your aesthetic taste and care about your living habits. Yi Jia, the first time I watched fireworks with you, I built a wall. The time you rushed into my house to give a medical examination, I opened a window. When we watched the sunrise together, I made a door. Finally, after the award ceremony, I prepared to put on the roof. Yi Jia, do you want to decorate this house with me? When everything is done, will you move in? Yi was hungry. Does the beef tongue in my house need to be unlocked? Yi Jia, close your eyes. Yi Jia didn't see any movement, opening her eyes to see Yu busy spraying breath freshener. She didn't need the formality, urging him to focus on the main thing. Yu slowly moved closer. Unexpectedly, Yi Jia had to let her hair down for more charm. He waited for her permission and then rushed over to give each other their first kiss. Finally, when love truly matured, the two had found the harbor of their lives. At an age where there was no longer any hurry, they chose to hold hands and walk the rest of the way together. And then, in that moment, they understood that happiness did not come late, but came at the right time when the heart was wide enough to receive it.